Hey, beloved. Welcome to the Empathy Hour. I'm Tayo. I'm going to hold and grip tight when I say this. It's the left's job to rip the realm of the gym from the right and reclaim resistance training back to its revolutionary roots. And I say reclaim because there's actually a long history of physical fitness and socialism. The Turner movement originated as a nationalistic gymnastic enterprise in Prussia, with many Turners fighting for liberal, Marxist, socialist, and even anarchist sympathies. However, after the failed 1848 revolutions in Germany, many 48ers immigrated to the United States, bringing their radical political views and effortless riz with them. The Lincoln Turners, for example, explicitly declared in a 1919 program that a Turner is a man or woman of liberal and harmonious education of body and mind, a believer in life and its beauty and its perpetuation of ever nobler and inspiring ideals. Based. Likewise, during the Civil Rights Movement, the Black Panthers incorporated martial arts and physical training as a tool for building community solidarity and self-defense. They did this with a recognition that one has to be disciplined to be a good fighter, yes, but also a reliable community member. Unfortunately, today, modern fitness culture has become increasingly individualized and commodified under capitalism, erasing a long history of collective, community-focused training and revolutionary moments. And yes, while I agree that there's nothing inherently political about working out, the gym is ultimately a very political place. No pun intended, body politic that swings very male, young, and oddly conservative. See Andrew Tate, Joe Rogan, and Calificular, or however the fuck you say his name.
There is a massive amount of right-wing radicalization that has been occurring, especially in younger male spaces. If you're a dude under the age of 30 and you have any hobbies whatsoever, whether it's playing video games, whether it's working out, whether it's, I don't know, listening to like a history podcast or whatever, every single facet of that is just completely dominated by center right to, I wouldn't say far right in the same way that it was back in like the 2016 era at the end of like Obama's administration, but like definitely center right to Trumpian right, like openly Trump right, not like genuinely neo-Nazi. That part is quieted down a little bit, but like they're like 90% of the way there for the most part.
The current political climate is driving many young people towards fitness as a way to reclaim agency and prepare for potential confrontations, particularly in response to ICE enforcement and other government actions. The biggest question of our day, one of them, is how will you use your agency, especially if you live with privileges that others don't? Which has me thinking, why are we on the left so quiet about the power of the gym and fitness in general in building literally and figuratively resistance muscles? What I'm saying is our body is a tool and we must reclaim the means to production. But I'm just a black man with a mic who frequently misses chest day. So that's why I reached out to... No, actually, Oh God is in the Epstein files. That's really what it is.
Oh God is in the Epstein files. It's killing me. Like, actually, it probably is. It probably is. Like, one of them probably did say, "Oh God." And yeah, that's it.
Can I ask how? I'm glad this came up because it goes with the first question I wanted to ask anyway. Still not about what we're actually talking about, but it was supposed to be the icebreaker. I never knew how you ended up coming with one. Was Oh God alive? Was that a live clip sound, or like did you make that? Like, where did Oh God come from?
That's from me in like a rant on a WhatsApp voice note, actually. So it's not even like a very clear, like if you listen to Oh God, it's not very clear. It's very like low hertz and like it sounds chopped up, but that's because it is. And then I just mess with it a lot in post. I put like a delay on it, put some like distortion and whatnot on it, cut the highs off of it, so it just sounds like this man bellowing from the bottom of a barrel or something, or basement, like falling. Oh God, oh God, God, God. Like it's just going, and I'm just like,
context of the conversation. Do you remember like what elicited that? Oh gosh.
I think I dropped in a pothole, blood. I think I dropped in a pothole in the like driving, and I was sending a voice note, and I was just like, I got so exasperated because like I could hear my car ticking after like the pothole. It took my shit down to like 25 HP. So like I'm positive, like
not the
I'm
crit
positive. Nah, so I was just like, I was talking and then like it just dropped in the bush. I was like, oh God. Like, I was like, and I was just like ranted about it.
I hate when you hit a pothole and it sounds expensive. That's when you're.
That
That's when
turned
my
shit off.
ass. You're just like it. Like I hit it in a way that I had to turn down my music just to make
Turn
sure
everything off.
I if I hear one rattle, because this card new. I don't know if you ever talk. I'm sure you've had to have talked about this before. How long have you been on this particular foreign man in a foreign land channel?
Foreign man in a foreign land, full time 2022. And it's in what we understand foreign man in a foreign land to be 2022. I started the YouTube channel in 2020, I believe. Like might have made the YouTube account in 2019, but like really started posting videos in 2020. And it was vlogs at first. I can't even find it, even if I wanted to. Like it's just like the most garbage vlogs that you could think of. And then I think I made one video on Michael B. Jordan making a Trinbagonian rum, and I was criticizing Michael B. Jordan appropriating the name and discussing the nuances of Black cultural appropriation across the diaspora, and that's what kind of. And then I made a video about combating Caribbean homophobia, and that's what took off. That's the video that kind of, and that was in 2022 or 2021, one of the two, and that's when I went full time.
Okay, so in about the 3 years, I don't know if you probably have, but how did foreign man in a foreign land like end up becoming a thing? Technically, my question is, how did you come up with foreign? And then I realized 3 things at once. One, you didn't. Your name is not foreign, right? Like your name wasn't even trying to be foreign, right? It's a sentence. It's foreign man in a foreign land. And 2, you didn't come up with a nickname either. That is something that like your community just did. I really assume, and like to the point, like I call you foreign as if like that's your real name. Mind you, I do know your real name, but like
yeah, you can say it. It's out there too. Like so, but I mean, at this point, like saying Peter inside like a video, that kind of takes me out the loop because like I'm just like different levels of neurotic at this point. So like I have different personas for myself, and when I hear Peter, like it kind of gets a different id from me. Like it kind of gets like a, but like if I hear foreign, like I'm in a different character. So it's a mad thing, but like that's so like if we were in person and like you would have called me foreign, like if we chilling out in public and like you just say foreign, I was just like, bro, please don't do that shit right now. I was like, not right now, please, man, because then I can't get out of being foreign and I feel like I'm performing. Which isn't fake, like it's a part of me. How did foreign man and foreign land come about? Like it was because it was again vlogs. So I was in the States as a foreign person. So I'm a foreign man in a foreign land.
Right.
Yeah. So I was doing that. And then for some reason, I remember very strongly, like one of the commenters would just specifically say, no, I'm calling you foreign. And like they would just title every, comment with, hey, foreign, good to talk to you. Like, and this is only like when I had about like maybe 5 or 6 people inside the comment section. And it just kept on going to the point like where I never called myself foreign until like it became a point where the populace referred to me as foreign. I was just like, and then someone called me big body foreign. And then that went, and that's a whole nother thing. And I was just like, that was actually about a car initially. Like it was actually supposed to be like referring to like a big body foreign car. Like I was just like, okay, like that's different. And that became a different thing. I don't know, blood. It's wild. You really can't control. It's a Hannah Arendt quote. And I know Hannah Arendt is like another person in political science who unfortunately has a very checkered past because like made some good things, but also very racist. But they said all autobiography is a lie. And Shorty was spitting because yeah, like you can't control how you are perceived to the fullest extent. That's a lie. Like you kind of just have to put yourself out there and whatever people kind of, and like I grapple with that on a regular basis because I don't want y'all to tell me who I am, but at the same time, I can't fully tell you who I am because I'm lying. Like that's a performance.
you don't exist in a vacuum. Like immediately when you said that, I was like, yeah, technically, when you think about a biography of someone, is almost a more accurate representation of like a more useful representation of how that person is, because like you're taking a bunch of differing accounts of like how a person was perceived or like what they did to other people, and it's more likely those people are going to come to a consensus about that event or that person than just listening to Michelle Obama talk about how she felt when she did something, which is like it's a source of truth, but it's different than like what
the whole truth
really happened about you. Thank you, the whole truth. Dang, yeah, Hannah Arendt. Yeah, to be fair, that's
she be spitting sometimes, but she is, vehemently racist.
Right, to get actually into our what we want to talk about today, which like given how our conversation is going, I think it'll both be fast paced. We're still going to talk about a lot. I was thinking about recently. I've been back in the gym. I don't tell a lot of people this, or I don't speak about it a lot on YouTube because it doesn't necessarily relate to what I do. I mean, I may cover masculinity, but I talk a lot more about the economy. I talk a lot more about like economics, music, not so much like sports stuff. Even though I do like I'm not shy about being like a basketball fan. Like I'm very to everybody's, not everybody, to a lot of people's confusion in my comments and in my real life. Sometimes I'm very hegemonically male in a lot of ways. And so like, right, that's the new way to say it. And so like I like fitness and I like competition. I'm also a Nigerian man, so I am competitive.
Bro, you seen the Houston Nigerian man TikToks? It's just like,
I don't want to. I feel like it's gonna hurt my feelings,
bro. No, but he's doing it right. Like he's like in character, and he basically says, it's like as a Nigerian man corners you at your tailgate, and he's just like, you need to come to my Nigerian fusion restaurant, and he's just like, why are you freaking out? I said, Grace and me go way back. I said, I've known Grace forever. I said, me and Grace have nothing to go. Of course, she's my close friend. She's a close friend. Like, I'm just like, bro, this is great because I know niggas like this. I know niggas like this, bro.
I'm so sorry that I encountered before I knew what the stereotypes were. I'm not as bad as them TikToks. I'm gonna let you know that. But I will be honest. I'm man enough to be honest, to know that I didn't know certain things that I was taught by my very upstanding father, by my uncles, were somehow being pathologized into a type.
Like, bro, it's a real nigga. It's a couple real niggas, bro.
My ex-girlfriend told me like maybe 6 months after we started dating that like she was so worried, like she was surprised at how I was, because like she thought I was and I'd never heard the term before. So I want you to know the first
demon, or Yoruba demon,
Yoruba demon. And I was like, yo, what is it? You're saying it like it's like a thing. Like, why would you say something so wild like it's a thing? He was like, bro, you never heard the term Yoruba demon? I'm like, yo, what is a Yoruba demon? And then she started describing this type of masculinity that, like, to be fair, if you lighten it up, it's just it's the same thing as lad masculinity. Like that shit say right? It's a particular type of flamboyant, not flamboyant, but it's a type of masculinity when you don't have to hide, when you have a bit less emotional suppression than Europeans, where you get to you understand that you like charm requires a little bit of emotional self-awareness, and therefore charm is also being a part as part of your value. That, by the way, that's me destroying it for all Nigerian people out there, all Nigerian men out there. That's what they're talking about, right? We get raised with charisma because we are we're born with egos, and for very good reasons, right? Like we're very strong. We're very strong. We're very strong people. So like, I feel like a regular person might say like, oh, I like your shoes. Now me, I'm gonna say, oh, these shoes are tantalizing.
Yes, my bad.
Like, and for some reason that makes people feel like it's more than a compliment. But I like using the words that I use. I don't know if you feel like this this is the last question before I ask until I switch the topics. But I noticed something about myself recently. You actually are like this is gonna sound wild to say out my mouth, but please remember I have 2 Nigerian parents. You sound like an immigrant. Like you're sorry, not you sound. You are. You are.
No, for real. I mean, like, even though I was born in the States, I genuinely, for all intents and purposes, I'm an immigrant.
I'm sorry.
I was born in New York, but no, I agree with you. I agree with you. Spiritually, like how some people are spiritually Israeli, like I'm spiritually an immigrant. Like I when I'm in those conversations, like and white people come out, where are you from? And I was just like, well, I have American, but where are you from? Well, I'm black, but like what's your origin? I'm just like, okay, all right, I'm from okay, I got Bahamas. Bahamas.
Crawl from is crazy. But no, I this to say, I often sometimes wonder it's very like self-conscious thought I'm about to be very vulnerable with on air. Like I constantly wonder, why do I talk the way that I talk? Like I understand that I sound, even to myself sometimes, I sound weird given because I grew up with myself. Like I sound like I was born and I raised them in a Boston suburb. I went to school since I went to Montessori school. God, like
damn,
you know
ain't
what
have
I mean?
chance.
Like, right, like, but I grew up. I grew up hood adjacent. Let's keep it there. Let's keep it clean, right? I grew up hood adjacent, and like I grew up where I did get, of course, made fun of talking like this. Now, of course, growing up, because my parents were trying their best, not also knowing some of their little class and anti-black tendencies, they were like, I don't want you speaking the way your friends speak. You gonna speak like this. But then as I got older, and I hear this on my comments all the time. He's like, bro, why do you talk so flowery? Like, why like nigga be using $10 words? And I'm like, on God, I don't be trying. Like my brain will start, like the best word sometimes is just gonna be a multisyllabic word. But then I heard, do I have him over here? I don't. But I heard Wole Soyinka, who's like Nigerian's like best, one of our best playwrights, and one of our best sort of modern writers, honestly, talk. And I was like, yo, low key, I realized I inherited the fact that like immigrants speak the King's English. Like listen to any older African talk, right? They always tantalizing, regal, delicate, celebrant. I was like, oh yeah, I really do just be using the words that like like the English my parents speak, but I don't have an accent. So instead of sounding like I was a servant raised by the King's English, I just sound like Trent, I guess. And that means nothing. Right? Like what I'm explaining means nothing. There's no like bigger political or socioeconomic point to what I'm making per se. I just think it's interesting. Because like that means for real, immigrants be speaking mad like they actually have a much in-depth vocabulary, I think, that Americans give them credit for, and the accent inculcates a lot of white people from realizing that.
I mean, like, so that's like what they call surface lexicon. So like, because people know like a lot of words, like they've encountered these words before, but like it's often in the back lexicon, the deep lexicon they call it, that you have to pull it all the way from the back of the shelf or the back of the fridge. But at our surface level lexicon is very high. And a lot of the time what we also fail to recognize is that the person that has the ability to immigrate often comes from a particular socioeconomic class as well. Not like to erase like folks that risk their lives to, like travel and traverse like all kind of different terrains in order to get to the States or get wherever they're going. But when you see an immigrant, you have a small sample size, especially like in the States, you get a small sample size of people that had the means to immigrate there in the first place, which means that if this is the only time that you've engaged with a Bahamian or like a Nigerian, you're more than likely engaging with a Nigerian of one specific social class rather than like the entirety of, like anybody up inside like the Igbo region, so like You ain't talking like nobody in the red district of Abuja. You know, like you're not you're not engaging with just everyone. Like when you're in the Bahamas, like you're if I am the only Bahamian that you engage with, which more than likely, because there's only about 300,000 people here right now, of Bahamian descent directly, like more than likely, like if I represent all the Bahamians that you know, that's not a fair representation of the rest of the Bahamas. Like there's varying degrees of like highfalutin words coming out of our mouths, varying degrees of looks, varying degrees of like all kind of different things. But because we're underrepresented, you assume that. The same goes with like the Indian folks. Like a lot of times, like Brahmins end up being the majority represented class in the states, and they are your Aziz Ansaris, you know, your Mindy Kalings, and them like Brahmin of region, like even Saji Sharma, like that's Saji, isn't it? Sharma is king, you know, like I mean, like, but that's so like the fact that you see them and like that's your representation that you're getting, and even like if you take it a step further, like on YouTube, being on YouTube is a very condensed representation in itself because not everybody has the amount of time, proficiency, resources in order to invest in doing YouTube. Take that step further, like the thinkers of modern time, or even before that, Aristotle, Plato, it's just a bunch of rich niggas. Like the people that were thinkers were the people that had the luxury to think. The majority of other people had to do other shit.
Like, let's be real. To be an influencer, you always had to be able to be unemployed.
You had to have the luxury of unemployment.
If you could not have the luxury of unemployment, you could never be an influencer. Socrates ain't never had no W-2.
They was W-2.
Nothing, bro.
And like for black folks too, like, and that's the reason why like we always point to, you know, folks that's actually doing IRL activism, thing like that, because while we're not like minimizing what we're doing, like we can't be the only thing that you engaging with. Goes back to like what we were saying with the comic book dude, right? Like if we're the only person that you're engaging with, you're not getting a good representation of our entirety and diversity, because you're getting bougie black niggas for the most part. Like, you know, if you only engaging with me, FD, you know, Lee, if you only engaging with these folks, then you are getting a very, you know, middle class, the upper middle class, socioeconomic variant of what it is. Like we got degrees, bro. A lot of us got advanced degrees, bro. Like that's not it.
And like both a lot of us, so a lot of people that you're listening to have advanced degrees, and like they don't even realize how contentious that discussion is within our own community, right? Yeah. Like that's even what we're saying. Like, right, in a way, right now on the screen, you're watching like an extremely rare case. Two black men with two like that both have advanced degrees. Like that's very weird. And like when I go to the barbershop, that's not a perspective that like I'm going to go get. Right?
Yeah, I'm shutting up too. I'm not the one that's talking the most in the barbershop, actually. Like, you know, the person that's monopolizing the conversation often might be like the most loud, ignorant nigga, but he might be saying some shit though. And I'd be like, I might take that shit and I might put that in the video. And then I'm the oppressor class, actually, because now I'm taking your shit and I'm putting that in the video and I'm making money off it. You do it for free.
Well, you know, what's it called? What was it Malcolm that called it? It was Huey that called class, Vanguard class, that or whatever it's called. That's our quote for it. You know, we're not stealing. You know, we Vanguard. We pass it up the stream. Nah, but like, which is definitely a cool conversation for maybe later on. But I bring that barbershop thing mostly to say that like that you don't, a lot of times white people don't even understand the blind spot they're missing, right? They're thinking like, oh, hey, this person's articulate. We'll go out of our way to be like, hey, I'm going to give you my perspective, modulate it to you a little bit, but like I'm giving you something I'm proud to say, right? I'm not giving no secrets out, but I'm proud to give this perspective. And they're like, okay, well, because I understood that, and you know, because I'm a white person, if I understand it, that must be the complete knowledge of it. I understand the black perspective. And I'm like, bro, you don't even see the blind spots that like I have as a at the middle class black person, right? You're not even peeping how like I'm not bringing up sex workers enough. You don't even understand that like there's the difference between a black Democrat and a black progressive, right? Like that filters how you have to hear a whole bunch of representations of black culture. Because even though you might say, oh, obviously black MAGA doesn't exist, which actually I think I do agree in some place that like it's almost impossible to be a black capital C conservative. You wouldn't understand that like, okay, because you're not going to have a black Republican, all your conservatives are in the black Democrat party. So like, be careful if you see in a black moderate position where like, oh, he's a Democrat and this black person is saying like, pull up your pants, but he's Democrat, so it must be cool. You don't even know why you sound stupid. I mean, I just had to get that off my chest. Okay. But speaking of communities and speaking of, let's see, black people who are often in sports, which takes place in gyms. Why don't you tell me about your relationship with physical fitness? Not to slob on the knob too much, but I think
that's crazy.
They don't.
That's from the onset, though. That's a mod thing from the onset.
I like no pause because it's what's that word? It's hyper masculinity. But I mean, like you decided to put on that. You decided to put on that polo. Like
I come in fresh off like the post Valentine's Day brunch. Like this is a rare fit. There's a calm little fit right now. Like I talking like this is me straight off the Sunday brunch.
My man looking like 1970s soul.
Dead.
Like straight, no shaved chest hair.
This the Caribbean unk fit, man. The white pants and the beige shirt. Like that's the Caribbean unk fit. I ready to go to a fit.
but like I think as you alluded to before, even without even your like you didn't even need to engineer this in your own community. On the streets, to be calling you big body foreign, big body BIGBAWDY foreign. Like do like how? Yeah, just tell me. I would like to see how you see your relationship with fitness. Like has it been fairly consistent throughout your life, or has has there been like changes in perspective, or like falling?
I mean, with me, so as a disclaimer, I have a unhealthy relationship with fitness, probably. And I think we need to contextualize it to that extent as well. Like your average gym goer or like very big physical enthusiast and fitness enthusiast probably has varying degrees of EDs, body dysmorphia, some habits that make them look good, but are they good? Maybe not. Are they good mentally? Are they good physically? Even if they look good, it's like Homer Simpson with the back fat taped up in the back. Like, at the end of the day, it's like you doing these things to look good, but are you doing these things to be healthy? Not necessarily the case. And I think that I grew up and was raised in a Caribbean household, which is very much superficially attuned to looks. I grew up going to the gym with my mom, who was a pageant queen, pageantry, of course, very much, in that vein of attuned to looks to unhealthy extent. So I was hyper conscious at an age when I shouldn't have been hyper conscious about being a chubby kid, and on a regular basis, despite being fed very well, at the same time getting penalized for looking like I was fed very well. I'm more like, okay, you're getting chunky there, little big body foreign, but you the one who has put Crisco on top of the peas and rice and the beef ribs. How am I supposed to not be like this? I say, at the end of the day, like, but that's the household that I grew up in. And growing up in that way, you begin to learn what is permissible for a body, especially as a young boy and young man. So very early on, I was in, physical fitness, a lot of sports, fighting sports, especially, and wrestling, especially. And then once you get into like the white side, like when I went off to college, that's when I really took into shape, and began to really get into, physical fitness, team sports, D1 athletics and wrestling in general. And that is a totally different level of unhealthy fitness, because at that point now, it's not only superficiality, it's now you need to perform. And then you get like this dynamic of blackness where you have been bestowed upon you this magical level of power and athleticism that's expected, and you kind of have to rise up to that amongst the other teammates who might be white, who might also be black. And then you put another layer of it with Caribbeanness, and you got your Usain Bolts, you got all of these people that have this very obscure fitness athleticism that they kind of ascribe to almost like voodoo. Like if you ever get into sports circles with
Uh,
Americans,
uh,
even
what,
if you're black,
what
like they will do that. What do you say?
it's I forgot what phrenology.
Yeah.
Is that only when it's with the head? But like it's this weird race science, especially like I grew up more as a basketball kid, but like um I had a lot of football friends, Pop Warner football friends, played that friends that played high school growing up, and so even I got accustomed to what we would eventually see with the Lamar Jackson, um,
Mhm.
nigga from the Bills. Wow, I just forget his name. Wow,
I
Josh
am
Allen.
big.
Josh Allen thing of like, yeah, there's like even I could understand there were, even if I couldn't know them off the top of my head, I knew there were white positions and I knew there were black positions.
It specifically football. I mean, like the subtext of that. I mean, it's war. Like they're role playing war. And when you think about how the black body is used in war, it writes itself. You don't even need to be too woke to engage with that. And what I like the most about more so like wrestling and fighting sports and pugilism and grappling in general is that it is a solo thing, but it's also very internal. Um, it's very much a struggle within oneself, and a lot of it is like Mario Kart beating your best time. Like you're fighting a ghost. You're fighting yourself, but you're fighting your ghost. You're trying to beat the ghost, and that is like that is in itself an internal struggle manifested, and it is basically the same thing as lifting, because like you're trying to beat your PRs, you're trying to be stronger the day before, and it's really a internal struggle that when you think about how that inflicts your body as well, it's an internal struggle that you can see on a regular basis, and whatever actions that you took inside the gym, like you're seeing it on a regular basis. And
Do you mean
so
by
with
like DOMs, or like you mean like because like your legs hurt, or you mean
DOMs, but also just like you're seeing, if you're working hard, like you're seeing it with your physical exterior.
no,
Um, and there's this incentive to, of course, have this particular physique that only people in the gym is like a secret language. Only people that are in the gym or gym adjacent, like if you ask your average person, even the moderate amount of fitness that you do inside the gym looks very uncanny valley to a person that is not a regular gym goer. Like it is at this point, like you're chasing a physique that nobody is telling you to outside of people that are very tapped into the gym. And it
you go. Sometimes people be like, "What are you working like?" Oh, like you're expecting to hear like, "Oh, I'm working arms, legs, chest day." They're like, "Oh no, right now I'm trying to get like this like a labia muscula like
I'm
popping
trying to
like
get the horshoe. I'm trying to get the horseshoe to pop
right."
like in the
No,
tricep.
like like there's this like hidden muscle, like you gotta like hit X 3 times and then like up right down, and then like you grow like a new like bone right here. It's new strat. It's new strat. And yeah, like they're naming muscles I ain't never even heard before. I didn't even know you could like work that muscle, but they do prove, right, and that's what I always often do get about gym bros in a sense, this sort of like almost like a working man scientist aspect of it, of
Mm.
like they do show, they do they test theories and then they show their progress on their body, right? They say, hey, I want to widen my shoulders, and I've been told this is what widens my shoulders. Hey, here's my progress, right? So like there is this to your point about it sort of being this individual sport this individual sports where you're always trying to beat your own ghost or beat your best. That's at least one thing I could always admire. Like that's why I got in the gym, right? I got like sort of to your point. I started in the gym when I was like 14. I want to say, in like ninth or 10th grade, I took a weightlifting class, and like from there, like I was hooked because that class is what we would use to train. Like I played varsity sports growing up. I did basketball and tennis, so like I knew early on, even though I too was also a chubby kid. Actually, like your story, I mirror a lot of your story. In fact, like African parents are also very blunt about your image, and like they will also feed you extremely good home cooked what the hell? They will cook you extremely good home cooked food, and then roast you about being fat relentlessly until you like low-key develop an eating disorder. But like and that's what college is for. But like I grew up a chubby kid. I look now back at my pictures and I realized I actually was not that chubby. Like
that's
the
same thing. Yeah.
That I felt I was, or not chubby, not fat. I felt I was, like how much it was commented on by peers and my parents. I look back at like my high school, middle school pictures now, and I'm like, bro, I was kind of cute for real. Like
I was fine.
The baby was low key kind of working. Like my fashion was, I had Cookie Monster shirts, but like the bones was there, which like fucks up with me with sometimes. But yeah, once I got in college, I was like, I'm never gonna let what happened in high school, middle school happen to me again, and develop bulimia basically, getting down to like my goal weight. And part of what, so like I too have a complicated relationship because I love sport and I love the gym though, right? Like I like pushing myself. I like specifically team sports. That's the only place where I slightly differ. I realize like I'm very dependent on socializing.
I hate
like I don't like, that's why I stopped tennis, even though like I was better at tennis than I was at basketball. And I ended kind of given up. I'm sorry to tell you. I remember I told you when I was very excited that I started jiu-jitsu, like I ended up giving up BJJ because I was like, but we're gonna get into actually why in a second, because it wasn't necessarily just the individual part. But I realized like, yeah, I really enjoy the idea of being part of a unit that like if I do my best, we all might win. I just think that's way better than if I work by. I think it's also part of the ADHD too. Like the idea of working by myself to do something, that's a high ask. Like telling me to go by myself and work when nobody's watching me. But if I know I'm held accountable by like I have 4 other players on my basketball team that like need me to show up, I tend to do actually a lot better. So would you? I know you said you ended up doing D1 athletics in college. Would you, or do you consider yourself a gym bro? And maybe like either why or why not, and kind of give me your definition of what you consider a gym bro to be. Because I keep getting very different. I feel like my definition might be not what other people consider them to be.
I mean, yet again, all autobiography is a lie. So some people may very well consider me a gym bro, even though I don't. So I never really fit in with gym bro culture to the extent of there's a particular anality, like very strong attention that gym bros pay that make it almost a science, in a sense, where they are taking the protein regularly, a stock of supplements, very granularly tweaking their programs in order to get to a particular level, the different enhancements, the very niche exercises that they're doing. I think of, almost, I might be encroaching onto like powerlifting or like almost like physique type gym bros, but that's the people who I really consider to be in the gym. I'm in the gym every, Monday to Friday, but only for about 45 minutes and I'm out. I consider the people that are in the gym like plus hour, on a Friday night. Like I'm not, I can't. It's never been me, and I never really cared too much about this. It's never been, and also like and I'd say this as a privilege because it didn't take much for me to be in the gym to be one of the strongest like people around there. So like I did lean a lot on rather natural talent. I kind of use that word trepidatiously, but I didn't really focus too much on form. I didn't really focus too much on niche exercises. I was a chubby kid my whole life. And also, what we fail to recognize is that by being chubby, we also built up some natural muscles as well. So going into the gym after being chubby gave me a head start. And for a long time, I was trying to lose weight and doing all this cardio. And then thankfully, I got into lifting weights and I ended up finding a reason to be good at it. And once I was good at it, I was just like, okay, I'll keep going in this direction. And when I went in that direction, the fat for the most part like left and the muscle just started to come through. All of a sudden, I was a lot stronger on paper than like a lot of my colleagues. But I wouldn't consider myself personally a gym bro. I don't think that I am. I think I have ADHD, and that the gym is a regiment for me. At the ass crack of dawn, like about 6 o'clock in the morning, I go to the gym so that I could come back and I could think and I could work well. So like it stimulates me as well as like keeps me fit for the most part. But the gym has never been an end goal. Um, it's always been the means to something else, whether it's been sports or whether it's to, start my day, but it's never been the book end of my day or the sport itself. It's always been to get better at something. When I was especially like grinding out MMA competitions regularly and I was in my bouts, the gym was what gave me an edge ahead of my teammates because it stopped me from getting injured. When you have stronger ligaments, like you don't get injured as much as like your people that only practice wrestling, practice Muay Thai, practice BJJ because they're breaking down their muscles regularly. But if I'm in the gym, then I'm a little bit stronger. So it's always been supplementary, and that's why like I have trouble identifying with being a gym. It's always been a supplement. It's never been itself the identifiable part of me.
It's been a means to an end, right? Like
Yeah.
the gym is literally the lab. Like it sounds like what you're saying in the beginning, it was the means to get you down to a body fat that you were more comfortable at, and then after that, like in order for MMA, right? MMA is the real like let's say love, but like in order to be safer at that, to have a better edge over your opponents, that we go back to the gym, which sounds like you're therefore implying that like for a gym bro, like especially when we use that suffix of bro, like you could be an MMA, it'd be more likely you'd be an MMA bro during that time in your life more than a gym bro, because the gym bro of it is that, oh, you see the gym, the lab itself as part of your personality. Is that kind of what you're saying? The difference between using a gym as a tool versus seeing, I guess I don't want to say the gym is a safe space, but maybe like the gym as a personality. I guess that's what people mean
The
by
gym
it.
as a personality is a great way to put it. Like it's that a person, like you talk to somebody that is a gym bro and they go multiple times a day. Sometimes they're in there for extended periods of time. They are thoroughly, I enjoyed my time in the gym, but I don't necessarily, I'm in and out. I'm there, like I say, 30 to 45 minutes every time. Like I'm never in the gym longer than an hour. If I'm in there an hour, something going wrong. And
Now, I will say there was like not anymore, but yeah, during I will out myself as a power lifter. You had brought up before, like that's my actual base. I love powerlifting with a passion, but
at
for the
that
same
point, that's a sport.
talking about, right? But for the same reason you're talking about, right? I did weightlifting clubs, so I did compete in powerlifting, but I've kept powerlifting my entire life afterwards because like that's that. Is it gonna be right to say that? Nah, I'm gonna say it. Yeah, nah, I'm gonna change it. That's the Maoism of workout regimens. It's like it got
Mm.
me. And technically, I bet powerlifting was kind of more invented like by Soviets. It would make more sense. But like them 4 lifts, when I realized like that's all I needed for my body
Yeah,
to start changing. And,
deadlift,
like,
bench press, pull up, and
uh,
squat.
squat, yes, or row and squat, I believe.
Row. Okay.
So it's like so upper back, front side of legs, back side of legs, and then
Mm.
your upper body, right? Oh no, sorry. Shoulder,
Overhead press. Okay.
your overhead press is the fourth one. So bench press, overhead, and then squat, deadlift. Like that covers the whole body. And needless fun fact, I say that to say when I was getting deep in that shit, there was a time when I was putting 90-minute sessions, and now to hear you say that again, I was like, wow, definitely in college. I mean, everybody got a little gym arc in college, but I was like, that was mad wild. Mostly because you spent most of that time doing nothing. Actually, like it is a long ass workout, but it's also like 3 minutes rest. Like, and you have like 8 sets to get through. But yeah. So seeing it, I want to keep pulling on that thread of the idea that like there is, even though moving your body, right? I think we would both agree that working out itself, being active, isn't a political act. Yet a lot of us I think we all are kind of aware going to the gym, especially nowadays, does feel kind of political, or the atmosphere of the gym feels kind of political. So like, what's your take on maybe the political culture of gym spaces? Have you noticed like either in discourse, but definitely maybe even in your real life, any patterns in who feels welcome there or who feels like they take up the most space?
Okay. So that's interesting. I mean, so in 2 ways, I talk about this a little bit with the idea of gym cells, like gym incels. So there's this part about like gym culture, which is very much associated with self-help, self-improvement, locking in, especially uh, masculine versions of locking in. As a young man, for the most part, like we often go through this locking in phase where we're trying to improve ourselves, more than likely for the end of adoration or acceptance, more than likely from women. But of course, the women is just like a extension of getting approval from men. Like you're really getting the women so that you can get approval from men. Like you actually don't care about the women. Like you really just want the men to be like, damn, he got a bag going on him. So um
For the most part, I do want to hold 20% space for those boys who are like, hey, let's say you're like 15 to 16 and you're like, I really want to, I don't want to be alone, and like I don't feel like like the girls in my age love my hobbies. I just don't know the social script. And what's the first thing a well-meaning person is going to tell you to do?
yeah,
Hey man,
get fit.
you kind of scrawny, or you kind of fat, or like you not, you should be fitter. If you went to the gym, you'd get a better personality somehow. And that's part of one of the real problems, right? We just tell them to go to a place and we don't think about like what attitude does that place produce. So
Yeah, like the point about it is that that girl that he wants probably doesn't necessarily care about him going to the gym, and the gym as a matrix for you to become the person that you want to be in order, or the person that is worthy of that person's affection, isn't necessarily the right ingredients. Um it actually ends up turning you into a person, more than likely, that is a lot more resentful, and a lot more feeling of entitled to a particular level of social engagement, and particular things. And it gets you into this mindset of, if I grunt this hard at something, then I'm supposed to get something in return. And that's often not how the world works. So it actually is a matrix for a very conservative mindset, because if you think about it, your whole process to this is that I am in this gym extolling uh sweat, breaking down my muscles, and the idea is that I will be rewarded for this at the end. And it is very much in line with a lot of the different conservative ideals that you find, like religion, where you have to suffer in order to succeed. At the end of your suffering, there is salvation. This is very much in martial arts. Like there's this grading and hierarchy system that you get. Like you get belts and you get plaques and you get medals when you win and when you submit some other man or something like this. All of these things creates an ecosystem of which this more than likely boy in this story is going through a rites of passage to be a man. You know, it's a very much a becoming of man story in all of these different situations. And
in martial arts, right? Like that's because I did Taekwondo as a kid, so I do remember like I'm thinking of sort of the conversation that we have around the losses of rites of passage for men, and that going into like this loss of purpose that we're saying a lot of boys have really I feel like a lot of what's being said underneath that is like, we don't have like state sanctioned hazing opportunities anyway for these young boys to know they're no longer boys and they should consider themselves of a different class than those who haven't done some sort of sacrifice, right? But to your point, like at least in martial arts, this idea of it works. I'm trying to say that it works in that field, or it really works in the box. That yes, should you follow your sensei, your master, who's teaching you these things, and you show your form, you do your belt test, you do the form right, then you can get your belt. And that's fine when we all agree that like we agree on the hierarchy, and this is about this one aspect. Else, and I might just be jumping our point of really reiterating what you said, it kind of becomes a factory of agreed entitlement. It's like if you believe like full stop, simply because you work, you are due something on some sort of like predetermined scale. Like, because and that's when we get into to men that are like, oh, I paid for X, therefore I need to get Y, right? Because I mean, hey, look, I did my roundhouse, and when I do enough roundhouses, I get a red belt. So like, is it not a give and take?
It subscribes to this idea of there are people who do and there are people who get done to. Like there's this binary that it instills. It's all like sorting people into those who can and those who cannot. You do what you could, I do what I want type of thing. It very much instills the strong man attitude, and that's why you see it like a lot of the time, like Russian sambo and whatnot. All of it is kind of reflected inside the culture. So like you see that like a lot in Russian culture. And Putin is a judoka and is one of the most talented judokas of all time. And of course it makes sense because it's reflected throughout a judo person that does judoka. And like
at that part you said, but Putin's one of the
oh yeah, man, Putin is lethal. If you have ever seen Putin throw anyone,
that's crazy.
I've watched. Look, at any given point, Putin right now can throw you into the nether. Like, I mean, like this man is dangerous. And it's
now will be clips of
you will see it. Go on YouTube and type in Putin judo, and you will see like probably a highlight reel of him doing like James Bond shit. But it's reflected throughout the culture. Like, I mean, it's basically a scenario where you subscribe to this idea of bear, not like homoerotic bear, but like bear culture. Like you are the big bear and like you body people. And essentially that ends up being the matrix or more so like the beginning of that pipeline, that conservative pipeline into this binary type of thinking that ends up kind of guiding you throughout life as a young boy or a young man. And you don't even realize it, like you're being groomed into this conservative type of thinking. That's one side, right? When it comes to the political nature of like gym culture, like the gym is just like an extension or like the entrance, one of the benign seeming entrances of your matriculation through a very conservative way of thinking, especially as a young boy. And as well as just like people who are deserving of particular things versus deserving of not. Like you see like fat people inside the gym are often, they are, mind you, like to like the defensive gym bros, like a lot of them are very gracious in trying to help people in their gym journey. But also I'll counter that to say that like it also assuages and massages the masculine urge to help and to be paternal.
to, to teach, to feel like you're to like mansplaining is an interesting way to put it, because I do think this often actually happens with other like in a homosocial contact, in a homosocial aspect. Like, yes, we do see on like TikTok and Reels, like, oh, like the trope of a man trying to tell a woman how to do an exercise she knows how to do. But in my own real life, I see way more, because most men are actually at this point now scared of like getting caught in that fashion. Like, it's way more. It's like you'll see a man who just goes up to some random normal person on the bench and be like, hey, like, you're back, or hey, are you sure you want to lift that way? And like, sometimes you got to turn around and be like, because my life has been saved by a person who took the guess to see that I might have been struggling with a new lift, and was like, hey, be careful, you don't want to. And I made sure I didn't get a hernia that way. But also, sometimes it's like, bro,
Nobody asks you
I'm on a machine, bro. Like, what are you even telling me right now? Like, why are you asking me like how many sets I'm doing on this, unless you're trying to hop on? Like, so, but if they're older than you, that makes them feel good, because once again, the key to all of men is they just want to feel wanted. All this shit that
feel useful.
They just want to feel useful. But they also made this dumb rule. They made, by the way, in which they could never say that trigger phrase. And that's why we have all of human suffering basically in the world. Because man can't say they want hug, basically. I'm so sorry to do this to you, Foreign.
What's up?
Do you know who clavicle is?
I was gonna bring him up. Yeah, so clavicular.
Okay, hold up. Let me. Oh, actually, no. Please tell me what you know, because I had kept hearing him, and I kept thinking people were talking about just regular clavicles, or I thought it was a weird sex thing. I'm not even gonna hit you. But I really hate that y'all made me Google this man, but please tell me.
Apparently, this is the wife. This is the wife right now. Just checking. Before I get, hey baby. Yeah, I tell you, boy, look, I be on a tight leash. Nah, but let me get through the gauntlet real quick. So clavicular, I was actually gonna bring him up because he is personified exactly how this superficial adherence to, well, he calls it looks maxing, but essentially clavicular, for the uninitiated, clavicular is the name for a 19 or 20-year-old influencer who essentially has made a career overnight, really, over doing performative inceldom and looks maxing, they call it, by hitting himself in the face with a hammer in order to inflame his jawline and whatnot, taking all kind of different cocktails of drugs that has essentially sterilized him for all intents and purposes. And beyond that, he also is a misogynist, a racist who has dropped the N-word as many times as he's dropped the word the, and he does it for sport. He's a polemicist, but he has also like this interesting nihilistic, and I don't use this like in like a philosophical way, but like this very much like for the lulz, almost Joker-esque way about him. Yeah, like he doesn't have any agenda really outside of just like being the hottest or like the most attractive.
I think about the having the highest market value, like being the most attractive. Like when I first heard about this kid, I was like, at first I was like, I mean, I'm not gonna say like it's 2026. I truly I've seen crazier stuff, or like I've been around the internet long enough to I remember when like Quoves was big, like during like 2021 2022, and like he wasn't showing his face, but like he was my first introduction in adulthood, that the fact that like black pill ideology was like still around, this idea of like measuring faces and like seeing your canto region tilt, or like whatever the fuck that shit's called, waffles. I had a video like in the drafts for a while, and I decided not to make it because I was like, do I really want to align myself with this? But I realized after the fact that I definitely did harbor black pill ideologies when I was in high school. And the way, so I understood how it would come about because I think a lot of black pill ideologies, it feels very mathematical, right? Like if you feel like you are part of the oppressed class in this like very made up romantic sort of romantic adversarial dynamic, like you would seek out, you would understand information that comes to you that says, hey, people like people that are attractive. We know this for sure. And so I can't tell you what personalities people like. I can't tell you about your personal situation. But if people rank you a higher number, like, you know, you do with your NBA players and, you know, your video game characters, maybe you have a higher win condition. At 16, perhaps that is something that makes sense to you. So I'm listening to it, and then I'm like, it's even worse than I thought. Because like a lot of times when I see these people, I'm like, you know this type of incel, right? It's like they look fine, like they sound fine, like their voice, not their thoughts. Their thoughts are unhinged. But like if they didn't open their mouth, you're like,
it's a normal kid. And more than likely, it's often like a guy that is still going through puberty, and of course, like you don't look optimally optimal for the dating market. It's because you're a kid, you're a boy going through puberty, and if you just wait on it, like more than likely shit's gonna sort out. But because you're now taking, you know, impeding measurements, like sterilizing yourself at the ripe age of 19, taking all kind of
for just to break that down a little bit for the audience, what Foreign is referring to is that how do you say again? Clavicular. Since I think he was like 16, has been taking high doses. Had like started off taking very high doses of testosterone in order to allow him to get more weightlifting gains, or like for in order to produce more muscle mass. Now, you're not supposed to be taking testosterone unless your body naturally produces very, very low amounts of it. And even when you do, usually when it's given to like older men, like above the age of 45, 50, and they're usually giving very low, like 250 milligrams of it to help their body produce more of it. He was taking like double to triple the amount.
So he's made his body dependent upon it.
Right. During puberty, Waz's body was going to change it, therefore making his body dependent on that testosterone. And as a result, his body stopped producing that testosterone. So he is I don't even want to say technically, like he tries to hem and haw in interviews, like he is effectively infertile, though he says there's, when he wants to, there's some surgery that could get it back to normal. But he did not know, or he asked us if he knew that risk. I do not think a 14 to 16-year-old can correctly weigh that risk of becoming infertile to in order to get bigger muscles at that age. So I'm gonna play this clip because at first I really did think he was just a grifter, right? I just think like, okay, maybe, you know, Sneako's dying, Tate's dying, you know, like we do. I think there's always going to be, because of the sort of halo effect and like how masculinity loves like physicality, there's always going to be sort of an avatar of like, oh, he looks like an Adonis, so I want to listen to him, I want to be like this person. So I thought, okay, the bone thing might be fake. He did run over that guy with a car, but he's a rich kid. Maybe he just like some weird industry play and he's just a grifter. Until I heard him on this podcast, and I finally it clicked for me why I feel no longer anger, but like tremendous sadness for both this child and like the people that resonate with what he's going through.
As he now plans to do even more extreme methods for his looks maxing, including a $100,000 height surgery that is going to take him from 6'1" to 6'6".
Why are you spending $100,000 on surgery to go from 6'2" to 6'6"?
That is more about just presence, right? I've always valued presence super, super highly, right? You walk into a room, people notice, right? You're standing in the middle of a club, you're an outlier, right? That to me, just because people will come up to me, they'll say, "Oh, well, 6'2", that's already very tall." But in terms of percentiles, it's only 91st percentile, right? 6'6", we get to 99th. I'm someone
Men will break their knees before breaking down in front of a trusted friend, before breaking down in front of a therapist. And like, when I heard this, what I finally understood is like what I think some people hear, like some person who's really vapid, or like maybe they do just still hear a grifter, somebody who's just trying to say, and he said himself, like he phrases what he says purposefully outrageously because he knows like that will drive clicks. Like he is self-aware about how he says what he's doing, but I do believe, and he's showing that he's earnest about what he does want to do, though, right? And so what I hear is a boy desperate to be unique, but is like overly aware that as a man in his world, in our patriarchy, cold rationality, this robot stoicism is what is rewarded in our culture, right? And that emotionality is, if not meaningless, is clearly inferior in a patriarchal world. And with that, he ends up conflating physicality. Like you see how much he lights up in this idea. Like I've always loved a person with presence, right? Like it's a kid who, like, he's never been tested, but like even he himself admits that like he's maybe somewhere on the spectrum, and like that kind of would make a lot of things make sense about sort of not understanding understanding the social norm or social nuances of, yeah, there are better ways to make yourself a more valuable person or mate to people, even superficially, that doesn't require just maxing out your aesthetic stats. But that's what he can see, right? He can see very objectively that people respond to higher physical presence, and so he that physicality with actual presence, and dreams to craft a body that will make him so he never has to ask for love, right? That like he will be so attractive, will be so high value based on what he sees the metrics are in the world, that the answer will always be yes when he acts. So he'll never have to be vulnerable. AKA like this is truly just a boy or a young man who is through the tools we give boys, right? Try in the most manly way possible, trying to not be vulnerable, trying to get care. I want to put the other way around. Like this is his way of trying to feel cared for, to feel safe. He feels he can be as safe as a man is supposed to be, right? Like he wants to do this thing where I want to be able to go what's that word? Initiate with women. I want to be able to feel like I'm the boss. But I'm not gonna actually untangle what's going on in my mind that like is lowering my self-esteem, like why I have this body dysmorphia. I've never seen none of my idols do that shit. I just saw them get that dog in them, grind the fuck out, lock the fuck in. So this is what he's doing. It's very similar, and this is the last thing I would say before I go to a follow-up question. It's very, very similar to the same way that Gen Z has had to gamify their entire academic experience for the past decade and a half, right? It much more than I think we did. Like, yeah, I not even a lot. I graduated high school in 2014. I did not feel like I had a grasp on every single one of my assignments, point value, and how that was going towards my GPA from sophomore year, right? But my younger sister, who's 7 years younger than me, like she had that. They had Excel forms. They had formulas where they could put in how low of the score they need to get on each assignment, and it would automatically update. And they needed that because basically from grade 6, you were already being quantified as a stat. And to me, when you are forced by society to commodify yourself into a bundle of numbers and stats, of course you're going to say, well, I know I'm 6'2", which clearly is taller than the average person, but by the actual objective numbers, I don't know every person. So by the average objective numbers, that's not a high enough percentile. 6'4", that objectively is what he said, 99th percentile. So because I'm trying to optimize that's what I want. And my question to you, really, because like I'll be preaching to the choir to ask you how you feel about that. We both know how we feel about it, right? But my question that may seem obvious, but is the bulk of why I asked you here today. What do we have, or what do we have to counter this type of messaging, right? Because just because it's a meme, and I'm not even saying like this is messaging, right? This is a meme. Like the kids are making fun of this. I do believe this is ridiculous to the average boy that like they're saying is getting sucked into this propaganda or whatever. I don't think this is persuasive, but I do think this is persistent. I do think there isn't an alternative that like the algorithm would send them to next. So even if it's a meme, it doesn't mean that young people like are seeking better alternatives. So like they're going to work with what they have.
No, that's a good point. I mean, like, what alternative do they have to these raw facts about objective attractiveness, which again is paradoxical because attractiveness is subjective. But I think what it is also is like when you have so many people at this point adding to this, which is like Clavicula is not novel. He's just like one of the latest iterances. There's so many different people that have subscribed to Black Pill ideology and have posted videos, have made long careers off of it. Andrew Tate, you said like this is just a spiritual successor. Andrew Tate, Kevin Samuels, like all of these people that essentially create a calculated version of what it is to gamify the marketplace of love and romantic capitalism in general. And before Kevin Samuels, you had like pickup artists. And before pickup artists, you probably had like some ancient scribe talking about like the astrology of how to get gal. Anyway, I think it's important that this exists. So one of the reasons why like I started Foreign Fridays in general is because like I needed to the videos that I made on Foreign Man and Foreign Land was speaking to the choir. Essentially, they knew for the most part what was going on. And I could teach them a lot beyond that because they don't know the perspective that I'm coming with. Even if you get a Black perspective, you're definitely not getting a Caribbean Black perspective. You're definitely not getting an underdeveloped country and region Black perspective. And that's sorely missed outside of the left in general. So I know that like I could Foreign Man in a Foreign Land, like that's a valuable perspective. But that being said, there's a whole legion of people that look like us that are definitely getting Clavicula or Joe Budden or Charlemagne the God or Kevin Samuels and Shannon Sharp, all of them, right? And we're not reaching them. And it is kind of ironic to be adding a net benefit to these white folks that need to hear about like this perspective that we have. Meanwhile, the very folks that look like me aren't getting that. And not to be paternalistic about it, like they need to hear me. But more importantly, like if there's a Shannon Sharp video and recommended next to it is a Charlemagne video and recommended next to that is a Andrew Tate video and recommended next to that is a Fresh and Fit video, then they have no option but to click on those. So as you said, they're persistent. They're consistent for the most part. Like it, and not only that, but like they're building upon well-established foundation already because they're just regurgitating what has been already made, established bigotry. We are spouting stuff that is in many different ways revolutionary, unfortunately, but revolutionary insofar as just like this is, for the most part, a renaissance of Black thought that you're seeing encapsulated in this way you have not had, especially online. So the fact that we're doing this is novel. The fact that this exists is novel. As well as showing up as a juxtaposition in the search recommendations or in the sidebar of an Andrew Tate video because of the fact that I look like one of them, or I might look like Fresh and Fit, or I might look like one of the people that they expect to say, okay, well, how do you do this and that? So it ain't just some blue-haired, leftist, feminist, radical, this or that, saying how to have a good life, but it's also, you know, a black guy, a big black guy, da 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 da, saying actually what you're talking about ain't making no shit. And let me tell you why. Because every metric that like you're analyzing at, I'm actually performing that at, and I'm not performing that with misogyny or with racism or with this calculus of phrenology, because that's essentially what it is in eugenics. So this is important. And being a contradiction to what that is right next to it is important. The next part was very much important. Is again, they are coming with a calculus that is deeply flawed, but they're saying it very confidently, and they're doing it in such a way that is memeable as well as outrageous and benefits from deviant application. So the idea that like if I say this wild shit, not only will people flock to it, but other people might also say wild shit because they see that other people are flocking to it. And I do think, of course, like they are, you know, grifting to an extent. Do I believe that they believe it? After a particular point, you say a lie enough times, you begin to believe it. But what is important is not necessarily trying to rehabilitate it in a way that is, rehabilitate them in a way that is direct, in a way that is me trying to argue or debate bro them out of their ideology, because that's not necessarily going to work. I think like what we've done in the past is we have tried to submit people into our way of thinking, as opposed, and that's just not how people change their minds. What I can best do is create a catalog of work that juxtaposes what they're saying and answers the questions that they are answering wrongly in a way that is just as entertaining, if not more, and then create that pipeline altogether. That's my solution for it. Some of these folks that are in their audience, which I think for the most part, like a lot of it's very, very hogwash. There's a lot of view button. There's a lot of like, you know, subterfuge and whatnot in it. So like,
we rarely get to talk about that as much because it feels like it feels like a trite conversation. But like, hey, I even think about that fucking what's called the APAC Super Bowl, the TPUSA Super Bowl show. Like, even though they had terrible numbers, then I find out most of them numbers look like they were bought anyway.
All of them, all of Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, they all have manufactured this idea. And I mean, if we keep it a buck, like a lot of these things that we watch in general, like I mean, you know, the more that Spotify purifies its list and their monthly listeners, a lot of these things are dropping, like dead internet theory and all this other stuff. A lot of people are keeping up a facade of what exactly is, so that people could buy into it, because people buy into what they think is popular. So they say, okay, well, obviously, if Clavicular has this much hype and he's always on my For You page and he's always in on Twitter getting viral, then obviously something he's doing is right. But the thing is, they're manufacturing that. So ultimately, the more that falls apart, and the more dubious and doubt is casted upon that, people are then becoming to realize and say, okay, well, what is? And taking advantage of that, what is, like what is real and everything like that, and providing a very lubricated pipeline for people to find their way into salvation if they're on the fence. You know, like Bell Hooks says, you have to have a will to change. I can't go there for you a lot of the time. Like, and that's the part that like we have to deal with. Like in the left, like we have a very, you know, paternalistic view of people, thinking that like we need to save them, and we fall victim to the same type of, you know, evangelism that like they have on the right. Like some folks need to want to, or at least be dissatisfied with this, and then you just have to have a home for them when they're ready to come home.
I think we get to we over-index on the whole, you know, that quote, being on the left is just being right too early. I think people hear that and use it a bit too much in the South. Because like I will hold you, like first time I heard it, I was like, you know what, that's true. Because I mean, like, look at now, right? Like the most frustrating for the most like y'all don't want to hear this right now, but the most frustrating thing we don't tell you guys is talking about like having to deal with the sea change right now, given what we do, right? Like I'm happy for Charlie. I'm happy that Ben made that video about that, like now everything is now capitalism is bad or whatever. So happy for that. Where was y'all niggas in 2022?
Mm-hmm. You shouldn't need a white person to say it before you believe it.
But at the same time, we know you kind of do, right? AKA you need to be put like y'all gotta be. I can't will you to change, right? You need something to change, and I understand the way in like in long form how revolution happens is that enough people get dissatisfied that they will choose what they have not chosen before. So it sort of ends up being it is what it is, and I completely
you gotta make a party and you gotta give them FOMO. Essentially the same that manufactured like that literally is it, and this is what is happening right now. So like I mean, to be optimistic about it, like you are having a renaissance of folks that are now engaging with ideas by way of getting Trojan horse into entertaining streams, videos, all of these different forces of media and crossovers in a way that people gonna be looking over there and gonna say, damn, you know, and not only that, but like the way that we brand our version of progressiveness can sometimes just be more appealing. So like people don't even realize, but we be making progressivism lit. A lot of the time, like we be, you know, some folks are very judgmental about their progressivism. Some people are acting like they've been woke forever. They've been woke since the woke is woke, you know, that they was born like this. But, you know, when I come up on the mic and when I talk about my shit, I approach it in a particular way. Some people that just works for them. Some people need to hear it from you. Some people need to hear it from Unc. Some people need to hear it from, you know, all of these different ways because, you know, honestly, like the white folks, them, I agree. Sometimes it don't be hitting the same. And that's because like, sometimes they ain't even fully believing it, to be honest, because they got one foot in, because they're part of the same structure that they claiming that they're on. So, I mean, the same as being in man, you know, like sometimes like I can't speak on particular things or people don't buy it from me because I, you know, at the end of the day, I am a man. And I say, yeah, I agree. Although I'm black, I am a man. And I do have a foot in this structure. And I will point you to a black woman twice on Sunday. Every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
And I also think like it's like different intersections are going to be able to highlight different ways a framework works, right? Like when you hear a white person explains why Marxism needs to happen, they got like guess what? They're gonna come at it from like a very class-based angle that like maybe as a black person with my own lived material experience isn't necessarily gonna like it might be true, but like that might not it might not ring that deep to me because I'm like you describe in class, but I ain't never really like had no class affiliation more than my own like community, neighborhood, or maybe racial affiliation. But then when you explain, and I know there's a little bit of issues with Black Marxism, but just to quickly add an example, like when you use Black Marxism and you say, well, actually, the collectivism that you might have been propagandized against as like being too communist or too Chinese, bro, these techniques is from Africa. Like these techniques are like we was collectivists before capitalism came in. So actually, we kind of returning to something, but like a white person not gonna be able to really pick that up as much as, right? And that I think about, especially as an educator, I think about that so much. I don't need one person to know everything. I'm much more interested in how people commit to wanting to learn a new fact. Hayden Green actually talks about this a lot, that like you're like truly a lot of our jobs are not only to tell a good story or, you know, make change. Our job is to get people interested in new facts because humans don't actually like new facts. We hate being challenged on our worldview. So it takes a lot for you to like really see a fact as like good fact I should use. And part of that is understanding like the messenger will matter. Can't take it so personally. There's systemic issues that we take personally, but like you can't take it so personally because I really like what you said before. Where like sometimes I might gotta say it. Sometimes Uncle will say something that like that's how like older Black people need to hear it. But then I'm gonna go to like Turb or Think Piece to hear like how like the young bulls gotta hear it, and like it'll be a different tenor. but it will be the same theme. And going back to that point that I said about leftists over-indexing on being right too early, part of the growing up of the being right too early is that, well, since you're early to the party, you got to help set up. That's your fault, right? You came early you weren't on CP time, so now there's some chairs that have to get set up, and so thank you for being here early. You have to figure out, along with me, along with you, how do we repurpose these themes in a way that this current public likes, and to believe that that's possible. I sometimes find it, I don't want to say it's alarming or annoying how, like, especially on our side, known for optimism and for the future, there are some creators that do give up on internet audiences, right? That are like, I'm not explaining nothing to nobody. Like, telling anybody anything on the internet is dead. Just post a reading list instead, or like I'm gonna just say whatever I want. No one, like, I can't teach anybody online. And I'm like, bro, did your mama tell you to quit like that? Like, what are you doing, right? Like we do this, even if it is in vain. And I talk about this even to my students, that like in Avatar, the library with the owl, Keaton's library.
I never watched it, I ain't gonna lie.
What?
I never watched it, I ain't gonna lie. At some point I might pick it up, but damn, I never did.
Yeah, at this point, wait until your son is 6, and then you gonna have a fucking time. Obviously don't watch the live, but like, you gonna have a fucking time. Anyway, I'll put it like this then. Humanity is very much like a well, and I think there's probably one of the more spiritual things about me. Is why me and CJ are friends. I believe the highest thing you could ever do is to take a piece of yourself and dump it into that well of humanity. Like, that's, as a human, I think evolutionarily what a lot of us try to do. It's what children metaphor are. It's what property becomes a metaphor from. But like, in the simplest way, if you think about Coco, the second death being when everybody forgets you, the ability to add something to the world that somebody else can say, oh, hey, that helped me with my experience of this world, whether or not it's like material or big. That's really the only purpose I can truly count on. And so, because I do that that pulpit pounding to say, because I believe in that so strongly, I could never believe in the futility of like what we do, of like online video, of like of trying to speak toward the masses. Because what else do humans got to fucking do but speak and try to change people's minds? That sounded like we were at the end, which would have made it so better for me to do it right before this last question. But okay, so last question. We talked about a lot here. Talked about fitness. I did really like what you said about. It sounds like your tactic is that you are the person that will take up the opposite side of how a lot of right wing or conservative fitness influencers will try to use their messaging to put people down the pipeline. You come in and you say, hey, I'm gonna take the same TikTok and like show you why that's not what it is. And it's because ultimately, like, somebody like me, and that's my issue, I can't lead the party. I would be the hard ass to be like, maybe we should start making our own content that like basically rebuild. Now we need leftist people showing you how to bench press and like just start it all over. Just have it start all over the bottom. But
we need that too.
We do. But like, I don't. It should be somebody with like an actual kinesiology degree that like actually like wants to just do fitness stuff. Like, we out here trying to talk about something. We shouldn't have.
Oftentimes they're the one that sucks though. Like, that's the problem. Like, they end up being the ones that ain't entertaining. So I mean, you got to go and collab with them.
Right. So like, I think it. In a pragmatic way, it is which is why I love what you do. Right. That like, you will show me things from the other side of the internet that I might not see. And for me, it'll be like, man, I cannot believe they're doing it over here. But I see in your comments that there are many times people that like either maybe wandered into the Twitch or knew the topic and like, but didn't know what the vibe in the chat was yet. So they are getting educated. So I do appreciate that work. On my side, some that really did come up was, we had this conversation in the culture a little while ago about like black men with mics, and how I think it was Deja Sade that talked about it, and was like, hey, maybe some black men do need to get mics. And it comes down to like this fallacy that we, or this paradox we exist in. A lot of, and I think Fika said this before, most black men, or the black men that y'all looking for, like, they're out there. Most of them aren't us though. AKA they shut up. Like a lot of good black men, a lot of good men in general, like they be quiet. I don't know what that says about the dynamics of patriarchy and maybe like extroversion, or like maybe when you actually are so busy taking care of your community and your family and like being a good person, you just don't got time to like do so much stuff online. But the easiest way for me would be like if we just had more normal guys just documenting what they think about things. Not even, you don't gotta even make, it's not even like making it a mission, right? It's just the algorithm is serving us the loudest people, but it's also based on a percentage of the sample size, because more people that you are more likely to go into content creation if you simply just have something to say, and therefore you may just be like a narcissist. They overpopulate here. But that doesn't mean, now to be fair, both me and Foreign are, because we're YouTubers, inherently are so narcissist. But
yes,
we read bell hooks. And wouldn't you rather an egoist,
a self-aware narcissist,
right? A narcissist with a love ethic, wouldn't you rather? So that like even if I said it sounds like it sounds way too pie in the sky, but I also understand that's our win condition, right? The win condition is the idea that I grew so much as a man when I met older men who I felt like they lived a comfortable life that felt that even though they weren't in a Maserati, even though they weren't like doing what I thought they were on TV, I was like, man, he really loved his kids, and like he really got this house, and he seemed really happy. And now that I think about it, that would be really cool. Are you telling me I don't have to be a rapper to do that? You're telling me I don't have to like grind to get something like that? That's cool. And I think we underplay how many boys don't feel like they actually have a concrete vision of what it would like to be happy, unless I look like Andrew Tate. So with that, I want to let you either respond to that, or is there anything additional you would like to add on the topic of gym culture on the left, on reclaiming some of the parts of masculinity? I guess really kind of what this conversation, right?
Reclaiming restrictive, not restrictive eating, but restrictive weights or weightlifting.
No, resistance training.
Resistance training. That was what it is. No, I think honestly that inspires me to get the camera back in the gym, because a part of me ultimately knows that I could sit here and my time is more valuable from a monetary standpoint reacting to a gym video than making one, to an extent, because I know the fitness space as far as like how much that makes. I know a video over there for the most part, unless it's a tutorial from Jeff Nippert or one of them, it's not going to go too far. And that video might get like at best like 20,000. Whereas if I do a video on Andrew Tate or the racist Dr. Mike, then I stand to get like 100,000 on that video, right? So while I know that it makes more sense for me to do the latter, it might be more valuable for that chubby black kid that I was to see me in the gym doing this bench press, and then also saying that, hey, you ain't need to be drinking no Slim Fast at 12.
The caffeine pills, the green tea, it's not, don't do that.
I was just like, you don't need to take any of this. You definitely don't need to be taking no a trenbolone sandwich at 12. You're in puberty. You're good. Give it a couple of years. Or just to be normal. I think, you don't even have to give too much instruction. Like, I think we don't give the most marginalized class of them all, kids, enough credit, because ultimately they know, like, kids are very perceptive. And very smart. Having one is showing me that. And I think that that's my why as to why I make the content that I make, is because I know that at some point my son will peruse this internet, and I want there to at least be an option for him to like go down one rabbit hole. I want there to at least be a fork in the road, not a knife. And I think that that's why it's good. Even if that fork ain't me, even if that blade is you, even if that blade is, like I say, Unc, as long as he get there, you know, ultimately he might not even want to watch me because I'm his dad and he sees me. So he's just like, you know, Dad, I see you all the time. Let me go and watch Tayo. That's great. As long as you ain't watching Tate. As long as you ain't waking and tating. As long as you ain't doing that, I'm good.
Oh,
You know, I'm good. But yeah, that's ultimately, I think, you know, gym culture, I think it is, we shouldn't seed as many of these things to the left because to the right. We shouldn't be seeding these practices to the right because we associate them with the right, because we have to keep in mind we're just a blip in time, and a lot of these things weren't right to begin with. Just because they are right now doesn't mean that they can change. And if anthropology shows us anything, they probably have changed, and that's why they are this way now. So yeah, what we're doing in many different ways is very monumental and can be the butterfly effect for a lot of things to change. So if that's me or Tayo, or if that's someone that's inside the audience even watching this, sign to, you know, make a gym content, or, you know, do something that's not even content related. We don't need to all be creators.
Normal
It
dude,
does
go be in public.
be in public and be seen, and not only that, but don't be afraid to showcase your arc, because your arc is very important. I'm tired of highlight reels. I need arcs. I need to see like from beginning to end. I need to see like the stumbles as well. But yeah, that's my take on it.
Thank you. This is the empathy hour where we practice how to empathize, and so along with and so this is the empathy hour where we like to practice empathizing. Today's audience question of the day, last thing we're going to leave you with tonight. What have you recently outgrown, and what are you growing into?
Damn. That was a rhetorical one, right?
No. That's for you. Answer it, please.
Oh, me? What have I outgrown? That's a good question. I'm actually growing back into shit that I thought I outgrown. I'm in my nostalgia phase. So like, honestly, I'm in my comfort phase. But I think I'm outgrowing pork a little bit. I've been on the swine is divine arc for a little bit too long. And I think I'm gonna grow into my pescatarian era, see how that works. I live around fish. I should probably try eating it for once.
I can't handle a lot of fishes. I think I might be allergic. So like I've never.
Damn.
Yeah, I know. People say it all the time, and my mom doesn't believe me. But like I tell my doctor, like when I eat fish, like is my throat supposed to get scratchy? Am I supposed to like cough? And she's like,
oh no, nigga, you dying? No, okay, yeah, no. Actually, you should try pork.
No, but my dad Muslim, so like,
damn, mashallah.
I do eat bacon though, but
damn, Aram.
All right, I'm done. Thank you so much for being on the Empathy Hour. This has been such a great fucking conversation. We have been trying to set this up for like at least it might have been a year. It might have been a year. We've been
might have been a year since the last time. Yeah.
Right. Or actually, I don't know when Mormons was. Maybe.
That was a year. That was a year ago.
Yeah. But you know, I love you, man. I love the fact that like we have met together through this weird job being YouTube and Red.
You gotta come down to the islands, dog. I be seeing you everywhere but the islands. You've been up in all kind of different people domiciles.
I'm going to Austin next week.
You see that's what I'm talking about, blood.
You know, we are trying to get these frequent flyer miles. I'm like now we're going to talk about this offline in 5 seconds because right now, I want you guys, please be kind. Thank you guys.
And rewind.
Okay. I think if I